Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for extra support. Any kind of news and updates usually I go about on Twitter X. And later today, we will get a Midnight Suns episode. It will be just a reminder, one episode per day, except for Sunday, which is my day off on the channel here until we wrap up this game, which is being a blast here. And just also a reminder that I already have some completed gameplay series. All the content is displayed in the main page of the YouTube channel. So yeah, that's it. Let's go to the news. Similarly, Intel signs a multi-billion-dollar framework kind of a deal with Amazon AWS services, which is their server side of the business there. And the reflection of that, supposedly the shares jumped 8% in aftermarket trading. Yeah, it seems to be a little bit of a lifeline kind of a thing here throwing out. Um, and they are basically they are getting together to develop some chips in the 18A process node. Again, I don't know which kind of nanometer process node equivalent is. Again, this naming scheme with this technology, instead of having everything standardized, everybody gives their own name to the state to the thing. So yeah, again, this will reinforce Intel's foundry services businesses. It's going to inject a little bit more life in there because it's not in a good shape, or at least at the best shape possible. And supposedly Amazon, it's almost $8 billion. Again, this is a multi-year deal, so I will assume $8 billion throughout. I don't know, 3 4 years, 5 years. I don't know. I don't think here it mentions that, but it's a multi-year deal kind of a thing there. And they also want to explore future chip manufacturing technology as Intel's 18AP and 14A processes. Again, I will assume this probably is like 3 to 4 nanometers, then more bleeding edge kind of process node manufacturing here. Again, the fact that they changed the naming scheme of these things. But yeah, under the deal, suppose they are going to manufacture uses its Intel free manufacturing process. Again, another number, completely random number, at least from my point of view. But basically, they want to build a custom Xeon 6 chip for the Amazon server side of things. There again, usually their businesses, because they try to leverage the software that they have. I think the best way to go about it is using custom chips, sorry, for their company itself, and it's justifiable because again, Amazon AWS, the server side of things, is a huge business from Amazon there. So I think it justifies itself to make just design a custom chip to leverage everything there in their ecosystem there. And again, this supposedly is going to enter production next year at par with Taiwan. So TSMC, 2 nanometer mode. Again, this is part of the. I'm not sure if the 18A is trying to leverage the 2 nanometer node. Again, I don't know the correspondence in terms of the nanometer scale of things. But yeah, good news for Intel. Let's say so it's money that is being injected with the deal, which keeps the services, especially Intel Foundry services, kind of alive. Let's say we've been hearing some good stuff for the next gen CPU stuff that they're going to launch on the DR market, and some of the laptop stuff. Again, I always confuse the names, so I'm not going to try to say what they are, so I don't get any information wrong. Hopefully, they can get a little bit of I don't know, step up a little bit their game in terms of competition. I just hope they just don't go for the strategy they've been going for in the last, I don't know, 3 to 4 generations in terms of CPU for the IR markets, which is basically trying to brute force themselves out of performance in the competition. Meaning that usually what they usually do, they perfect a little bit there, but they just they power up the chips to 11 just to make their performance competitive with AMD in this case. Which again, in case, let's say, for even for multi-core, multi-core applications, and even for gaming, usually for, let's say, the 7800X3D competes or trades balls with the 4900K, but the Intel CPU usually expands around double the energy in some cases. So yeah, that's not and that gave away again with the problems that they had with the 13 and 14 gen chips being I don't know, blown up, not blown up, but they just fail. And I covered a little bit there. It seems that they are now managing to dispatch the RMAs. I think they are even just refunding in cash in case there is no possibility of change for a new CPU. In some cases, I saw that they are replacing or RMAing 13 gen, and they just send the 14 gen because they have stock at that moment. They don't have for the 13 gen to just send 14 gen equivalent to those RMA requests. But yeah, similarly, they are now in the process of clean up house. Hopefully, they can also launch Battle Mage in a good shape. Hopefully, and be competitive with AMD and Nvidia, at least on the middle range, on around I don't know, the $500 to $600 kind of performance there, even though it's very high prices there. But hopefully they can maintain themselves above the watermark in their businesses and introduce competition in every segment that they are on, which is always a good thing. It's always a good thing for the end consumer, in this case, us gamers. From AMD side, supposedly AMD probably won again the contract to design PlayStation 6 chips, but it's not something to be very well surprised. Even though, again, it outbid Intel and Broadcom, and I think they basically outbid Intel because I think Intel didn't like too much the again, this site is a shit show because I cannot highlight anything, so I can guide myself on the articles there. I think the Intel lost the bid because oh my god, where is it? I think it has to do with the shares or profit margins. I think they were not happy with the profit margins, and again, given that this is also a scale thing, I think. And the fact that it is recto compatible with previous generations, again, the AMD chip that they sent to PlayStation, at least the specs, I suppose, it was also a leverage on the part of AMD. And again, a scale. We don't know a lot regarding the Xbox kind of a thing because, again, we know probably there's going to be also from AMD. This is information coming from that court cases, the discovery process, regarding the Activision acquisition. So this information is relatively old, but at least show us at the time the plans that they have for the next Xbox. But yeah, we'll have to see more recent and official information regarding that. Again, it seems to be that this new generation will try to leverage NPUs kind of a thing there. I assume more for the equivalent of the PISR technology, which is the upscaling thing. I think, given that if they have a chip just to handle the upscaling, I think it might be good to leverage that in a console case. Again, because it's just one hardware configuration. I think the NPU might be a good solution for the upscaling, given that we had also information that the FSR4 will be AI enhanced or will work with algorithms there instead of just the filter kind of a thing that they were doing. I think it's going to, because it's going to be leveraging AI functionalities. I think the NPUs, especially on the console side of things, because it's just one hardware configuration or two maximum, it's easier to leverage those algorithms for the upscaling. to leverage that NPU, which is very, very, very interesting. And continuing with AMD, similarly, again, if it was not yesterday, it was a couple of episodes ago or a couple of programs ago. I covered the Germany or the German market share regarding GPUs, which is not good for AMD at this moment in time. Um, Given to a certain extent depends on the price brackets. So above 500 euros, usually people tend to select Nvidia, given that even the high end of AMD at this moment in time, the price difference doesn't compensate the investment. For example, if not mistaken, the 4080 Super is around 1000 euros, and the 7900 XTX was around 950 or about that value. Again, even for me, it didn't compensate. If it is something in that price bracket, 50 euros doesn't compensate, given the ray tracing performance and also the upscaler quality from NVIDIA cards is way better than the AMD counterparts. I think that just $50 there doesn't compensate, and the fact that helps that 4080 Super being at MSRP, give or take, it helps a lot to justify that purchase instead of, for example, a 7900 XTX. But on the below bracket or below the 500 euros, people tend to select more AMD GPUs because they are very competitive. Price to performance in that below that range, we got from then depending on the market. On the US market, we still have some, for example, even less gen, like the 6800 or the 6800 XT. If we find something, usually it's a good price point around $400 or so, if not mistaken. Because then you got the 7900 GRE, which it's bleeding on that 500 euros. It's very good price to performance comparatively, for example, a 4070 Super or something like that, that usually it's that price range. Doesn't compensate the performance difference for the price, for the same price. Usually AMD tends to be more competitive on the lower end of the price scale. But on the CPU side, it's the other way around. Similarly, AMD has had a cap on the last week of around almost 91% against the, it says here, 90.9, and a half share percentage against the 9.44 share from Intel. In terms of the market, again, this is just from the Mind Factory sales here, so it doesn't reflect even all the German market, but gives us a sense, given that Mind Factory is, let's say, the equivalent of Micro Center in the USA. So it gives us a sense of what people are choosing, which is very interesting on the CPU side. Again, I think this also, given that we covered this on the GPU thing, German market tends to be more sympathetic to the AMD because people try to choose the best price to performance. They just don't go for the mind share. Let's say they're a little bit counter current. But yeah, we've been seeing a trend even in the global market that people are buying more AMD CPUs. And one of the main faults from Intel is the fact that we had that 13 and 14th gen CPU dying all over the place. Again, people got a little bit scared. They prefer to just keep with AMD for the moment being. And interestingly enough, the highest CPU sold is the 7800X3D with 670 CPUs for just in 1 week, which is I don't know, 3 times the lower the second place, which is a 7500F, which is the entry. I think it's the bare minimum for AM5 in terms of entry point. We got still some X3Ds on the top 15. We got, for example, the 5700 X3D from previous generation. A lot of AM4 chips still being sold, which is indicates that again, AM4 platform is still a very strong platform, especially for gaming. We don't you see some uplifts if you compare X3Ds with X3Ds, but in terms of price to performance, they still are leveraging very well the cache there on these 3D versions of their own CPUs. Then we got a lot of 7000 series, 9000 not so much. Again, the piece poor sales there, but you got a lot of 7000 series and still, for example, the 5700X 3D. We still have around here the 7600X 3D that was launched recently here in the top 15, which is very interesting. All these sales, and again, the X3Ds are selling like hotcakes. Around 670 units plus all the X3Ds, they are selling the most basically, which is a very interesting entry point there. Again, the 9000 series, they just sell around 20 units or so in all, between the 9600 and 9700X, and the top tier, the 9950X, around 30 units. So it's not that much. Still, people are still going for the good value of what it is, the 7000 series. Again, I don't see a huge difference if your main focus is gaming. I think even with all these Giza updates, I think the 7000 series still produce a very good price to performance, even compared with the 9000 series, of course. Um, in my case, I got a 7700X. It performs well, and I cannot complain. Even my case scenario is usually to aim for K60. It's more good enough. I have a 7900 XTX. It's more than good enough for what I play here. So for my case scenario, it's more than good. I don't think I will need to upgrade this CPU. I don't know. At least probably I will. I might upgrade probably at the life cycle, by the end of the life cycle of the M5 platform. I don't know, but at this moment in time, I don't see the need to upgrade the CPU anytime soon. I will probably will buy one or two GPUs upgrades before I upgrade the CPU. But yeah, given that I'm aiming for 4K 60 to play my games and the kind of games that I play, I don't see in the foreseeable future upgrading everything. But yeah, that's my case scenario. And yeah, regarding industry, this is what I got. In terms of gamings, again, yeah, Bungie marathons appear to be targeting $40 launch price. Again, um, a lot of people are comparing this to PlayStation's Concord. Given they have some similarities here, they are first-person shooters with some hero aspect of the game there. Even though Marathon supposedly is more a PvP extraction shooter, but the fact that they are targeting a $40 launch price reveals that they're trying to do what they did with Destiny 2, which is basically a pay-to-play premium model, than rather free-to-play with the usual microtransactions. Again, I don't know how well it fares, given that again to a certain extent, the oversaturation of the market regarding PvP shooters, given that it's extraction or hero shooter, it doesn't matter. It's a first-person shooter with multiplayer maps. I think to a certain extent, it's basically the same thing. Again, got some variations there, but the overall genre per se is the same. Which for this kind of games that usually demand a lot of time investment, it's overcrowded at this time. I don't think that anybody is asking a new game. I think people prefer if the games that are playing are improved in some kind of manner, instead of just starting from scratch in a huge amount of time investment in another game that they are not even sure if it is going to be good. Um, yeah, I'm not sure that this allure that this kind of games they think they have. Again, you have to excel, especially in these kind of games. If you want to be competitive, you cannot just launch something out of nowhere and think that it's going to stick. It's not the same way that, for example, single players work, which is a finite. Usually, it has, or the majority of people just at least play the game one time, so you have kind of a time investment, kind of finite number of hours that people usually play. So until they skip to the next game, while multiplayer it continues to demand that people play the game over and over and over and over, and the day is only has 24 hours per day. Most of the people that play games usually they work a full-time job usually, and then by the end of the day they will like to spend their relaxation time, I don't know, 2 3 hours playing the game, and that's it. You cannot demand that people be on 24/7 playing the game, or to spend their 24-hour cycle on not sleeping, and just to divide it 2 to 3 hour slots for an interchange every 2 hours to a new game. Again, I don't know what these guys on the industry think. Again, I think that the AI hubs are completely out of the loop of what normal people want. They just see numbers and pie charts and graphs, and they start to imagine possible futures and possible timelines of reality, and they think they can get away with this kind of thing. Again, I don't think this is going to work. I think this is not going to sell well, because we already see some troubles here. A lot of people, even inside, given the recently shakeups on the higher end, we got the, I don't know the name of the guy of the Bungie CEO that got that thing that they laid off some people from Bungie at the same time that the CEO bought and showcased their car collection, like 40 or 50 car collection there. Yeah, it doesn't look good. I think the guy went off because this is the new director, Joe Ziegler. Again, I'm not sure. I don't remember the name of the guy of that CEO, but I think this is the guy that replaced this. Yeah, people are not feeling that good about this game to a certain extent, mainly because of, again, what it is. I think this game is going to try to again replacing Destiny. It's been a while on the market. People have a lot of time investment on that IP. I'm not sure if they're going to transition that well to a new IP, because it's strange that the same companies try to do the same game, um, and they're basically cannibalizing their own IPs to a certain extent, which I also don't understand. Because I don't understand if they want to just launch the final content for Destiny 2 and expect people to transition to Marathon in the meanwhile. Um, uh, I don't know, or if they want to maintain the two IPs, like for example, launch Destiny 3 and Marathon, having competing with each other, even though they make the distinction that, for example, Destiny is kind of more hero shooter than Marathon, which is kind of more extraction shooter. Again, it's a PvP shooter basically. The audience, to a certain extent, is the same. Yeah, I don't think this is going to fare too well. Again, we got the example of Concord. After 11 days or something like that, after 2 weeks, they just have to shut down that. Um, yeah, even though the game, in terms of feedback, seems to play very well, even though it's not that to the positivity that is worth the $40 price tag, which is worrying. And yeah, the morale within Bungie is continuing to remain low as developers are going frustrated with leadership changes at the studio. It's more about that, and it's more an internal problem that the focus on the game themselves. Um, yeah, and also the fact in terms of competition, sticking to the point of competition of the PvP shooter, we have the Deadlock, I think, from Steam, that it's at this moment in time, it's, I assume, beta stage or early access stage, invite only. They have, I don't know, around 50K players online at the same time. It's something that is invite only, not just not anybody can jump into the game. You have to be invited basically. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to go about this marathon thing again. And we saw this from previous show throughout this year. They're going to try already teasing out a lot of this PvP being an extraction shooter, hero shooter, whatever it is. It's all the same thing at my eyes, because it seems all equal to me from my eyes. I don't know what they're going about it here. Um, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think this is going to be a good launch for Bungie, especially because of what the game is at its core. We got the latest patch here for Jedi Survivor. Again, I covered this when it came out. Um, I already had completed the game. I uninstalled. I was not going to install the game and see for myself if the game seems better or not. But similarly, somebody already did that, and to a certain extent, the fact that they removed the novo, it's a good thing because usually the novo DRM software it can hit performance quite a bit, and I'm not sure if the optimizations are reflective of the basically the fact that removed the novo, because the stuttering and the such still lingers in some cases here, especially on the village of Kobo, which is the main area, if not mistaken. Before the update, experiencing significant stuttering. We saw this on the gameplay. I made the series on this, and you can notice a little bit a frustrating stuttering thing there. It's said that it's much smoother, but it still has some few stutters there. Again, I think it's the vertical stuttering of loading assets in the background. It doesn't. I don't think they did a lot of work here. I think it's mainly because of the de novo thing. It can hit performance, especially on the CPU side of things. Usually, that's the what we've been shown since the comparisons before and after removing the novo, and it seems to smooth out a little bit more in terms of stutterings and in terms of performance wise. But yeah, we still have CPU issues there here and there. Again, less noticeable, seems more fluid in a lot of senses, but again, not fully fixed, and I'm not sure if it's ever going to be fully fixed. We still have, for example, from EA, we still have the Dead Space remake. We did- It's been a while since they did the latch patch, and when I played that game, even though the game looks spectacular, my basically my only issue to a certain extent was the loading stuttering that they had when you start approaching the doors before they're open. You got a lot of, sometimes you just, the game freezes like sometimes 1 second until you can continue to play the game. Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, these kind of things. And I think these developers need to put a little bit more work on smoothing out these issues. Continuing, we got Pacific Drive. We got a new update, which is Drive Your Way. And they also introduced a new customization pack. Again, $5. Again, this game is an indie game made by a few, not a lot of persons here. I think the game is cheap. It's on sale at the moment. I will cover this later. But you got the anomalous customization pack, which got some basically skins here and there. And they introduced this Drive Your Way, which is basically you can customize the difficulty to like 50. You can tick around 50 customization settings from the driving side of aspect of things, the damage stuff, the elemental damage, how it affects your gameplay. I think also I saw the trailer, the flat tire thing, how it affects the game. If you want to have, for example, off-road driving more difficult than that you want or not. You got on-road driving. It's again, you got a lot of tweaks, like 50 tweaks that you can do to affect the driving, and you got also like not setups, like profiles. Um, in terms of the what you can do there. I think yeah, gameplay preset. Sorry, that's what Iron Wagon, Scenic Tour, Mechanics Road Trip. Again, it's very customizable. Even how it affects the fixing in your car. If you want to use it, that it uses more resources than usual, or it can be, for example, more easy. Got this Iron Wagon adds permadeath, which is interesting for some runs. I'm very interested in trying this game out, so it's good that they are keeping improving this game. I'm very curious about this one. And then finally, we got an interview here. Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2 seems a good game. It's not for me, um, but we got some comments here. I think, yeah, I saw this video from Legendary Drops. Space Marine 2 is a reminder of what we lost. I do recommend this guy. He goes about in a what a one of my aims one of these days, if I have full time on the video on the channel to make content, is trying to do this kind of videos more focused in some aspects. But yeah, given that I have a working schedule as a freelancer, it's difficult for me to even sometimes do this the daily program of the news here. But yeah, the the developer developer no CEO, the Interactive CEO, Matthew Karch, he recently posted a reaction from Asmongold to this video from Legendary Drops, which is a very good video. And he left a comment on the video. Basically, I will read it here. But I highlighted everything there. And basically said, "Hey man, CEO Saber here. I love your videos. When we signed the deal to make Space Marine 2, all I wanted was a throwback game. We had the chance to work on something which, by its nature, was old school. I can't even comprehend many of the current games that we play these days. They are too complex and too much of an investment. We work on Halo back in the day, and the game could be distilled down to the simplest of shooting loops, but it was entirely addicting. That is what we wanted to recapture. I hope that games like Space Marine 2 and Wukong are the start of a reversion to a time when games are simply about fun and immersion, which I do agree. I spent some time as COO at Embracer, and I saw games there that made me want to cry with their overtone attempts of messaging or imposing morals on gamers. We just want to do some glory kills and get the heart rate up a little. For me, that is what games should be about. Again, the message here that he says is just have some fun playing the games. We just want to make some games to have some fun here. Don't uh, don't try to impose real life stuff and ideologies into games, because games by itself are fictitious, are they occur in fictitious world. They try to um, lever imagination and imagine different worlds with different issues, even though we can identify some human nature on the situations that the characters are stepping into in the game itself or any kind of other media. They don't always need to be like documentary style thing in the sense of gaming. So I think this is good to see that there are still people that they are striving for making fun games, which this game seems to be a very fun game if you like this kind of besides the lore of Warhammer 40K. I know it's a very expensive, very a huge investment time entering into the lore, and I think it's a very good one, with the exception that the the guys that own the IP trying to do some shenanigans around that. But again, I don't know Games Workshop, but I don't know very much about the lore itself to make any kind of specific comments. But the game itself seems pretty good. Seems like kind of Gears of War kind of a thing, but very well done, with some glory kills there with this. I don't know what to call it. Chainsaw sword, I think. And seems that the interactions are between the characters are very simple, very on point with the world itself. But yeah, people are enjoying this game. Very positive reviews all over the place. Everybody's saying that they like very much the game. Some nitpicks here and there, some negatives. I think the most that pops out my eye is seems a little bit CPU hungry, according to this person. Again, depending on the what kind of hardware that they are using and the settings, it might be something to optimize on, and some gameplay issues here and there, but not something huge. That you can only carry two types of gun, primary, secondary. Again, it's like things that they feel that can be improved there, but nothing that it's what we've been seeing in other games, which is completely lack of game mechanics or broken game mechanics like Star Wars Outlaws and the bugs of the such. Very polished game. I think their roadmap seems pretty good from what I've been seeing. At least the first year, a lot of content being added up, more weapons, more enemies, also different ways to play the game. Again, seems pretty good game. Again, it's not something that I will play because it's not my kind of game, but it seems a really good one, and I'm very happy for it. But yeah, regarding news, this is what I got here. Sorry about the long rant here. Got a lot of stuff to cover. And in terms of gaming deals, we got oh, not Arkham Knight. I'm sorry, I want. I need to backtrack. It's the Arkham Collection. Sorry, it's the same one that I brought you yesterday. Arkham Collection, 85% off. Again, all the free games here plus the DLC for Arkham Knight. We got also Bioshock Collection, 80% off. Again, it's the free games, being that they are the remastered versions of the first two, plus the DLCs included there. Everything is included there, 80% off. We got also Resident Evil franchise is on sale, so I will leave all the Resident Evils there. For, the Steam pages for all the Resident Evil games for you to choose and complete your collection. We got also Nier Replicant. This is the remastered version of that. Yeah, the remastered version, 60% off, and then we got also Near Automata, 60% off. This is the Game of the Year edition, so it got everything there. We got also Final Fantasy VII remake integrate, which is basically the PC port of the remake version for the consoles, 50% off. And then we got also again Pacific Drive. This is the deluxe edition that is on sale, so it's even cheaper than the base game at normal price, which is good to see. We got all the thing here. I think it's this one. Um, no, it's not. The deluxe edition. I think it's got the content that's already been launched there. I think the full content has soundtrack, if not mistaken. But yeah, at least the deluxe edition is on sale, and the game seems pretty excellent there. On GOG, we got still the PlayStation games. Here, we got Days Gone, 75% off. We got God of War, 60% off also. And then Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, 75% off. I do recommend these ones because there is no shenanigans with DRM. So they are DRM free, no need for PSN account or even linking, or you don't need to be online to play the game. So everything you just go to GOG, buy the game, download the file, install, and that's it. You just play the game. And then we got finally Tomb Raider Game of the Year Edition, 80% off with all the DLC. Very good game. I will eventually will be replaying this trilogy somewhere in the near future. But yeah, this is what I got for you today, guys. I will wrap up with just plug with my Patreon. Um, and the extra support from the patron is for me to trying to aim for a better storage solution so I can have backups of the stuff that I do for my clients, and of course some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. But yeah, I will leave you to this. I will see you in the next one. Hope you have a wonderful day, and until then, Nami Master out.